We are live for a very special Divisional Round Playoff NFL Weekend, and we had to bring in a special somebody to make his first ever DraftCast appearance, just because we got some blue boys in the house, and we couldn't double team Dave down there all by himself. So it's a very special occasion. The universe is listening, and we got a Giants, Eagles, NFC East matchup, and all these NFC East teams look really strong, except for the Eagles, who sat home just resting like they should be right now because they were the best team all year long. They really were. NFC is pretty much trash, and Tom Brady is terrible, and he owes me some money, him and Leonard Fournette, because I was on the wrong side of Fournette. That definitely hurt last night or a Monday night. But we got a special show. We're going to be doing a DraftCast. We got Joel rooting for these Giants. And then we got Tony and Dave out in Philadelphia right now. Dave, man, you told us today we were talking some trash. We were keeping it polite, but you're actually going to the game on Saturday night. So where are you sitting? Who are you taking? What are you wearing? How much money you put on the Eagles? Give me it all.
I'll have an Eagle mask on. I might go shirtless. I haven't decided yet. Right around 40 degrees.
Eagles
we'll decide.
What's an Eagles mask?
I'm kidding. I'm just going as me, man. I'm just going as me, rocking and rolling. Hey, sitting in the south end zone where the players come out of the tunnel, right on the center level, not the upper deck, but right in the middle band. Can't wait to go. I've been to a couple Eagles-Giants playoff games the last time we played here, settled on Akers field goal kick, but I remember one, a few years ago as well, where the Giants, Jason Sehorn had a pick against us, kind of ruined it early up in the Meadowlands. So it's a great rivalry. And I'm excited to go. I'm excited to represent the squad, Tone. I can't wait to fly Eagles fly.
Yeah,
it's
baby.
Funny. Me and Tony were live on Sirius when the line dropped. It opened up at 8.5 to the Giants.
Mm-hmm.
By the time we ended the show, it was down to 7. I was telling Tony, I'm like, Tony, if there's a time to bet the Eagles, it's right now at 7. It's back up to 7.5. So what happens in this game? Did the Eagles roll here? Did they win by double digits, or do you see a tight game?
Oh, come on, man. Listen, I'm going to stick to the script. That's all on serious, that I think it's going to be a tight game. All my boys telling me blowout. Now, listen, 28-24, 27-23. This is going old school, man. We're going like Jim Fossil days. We're back. We're back to the old NFC John Fox rivalry, man. This is going to be close. It's a battle, and I'm looking forward to it, to be honest with you.
Yep.
Joe, I let these guys talk, man. Tell them they're going to lose. Tell them the Giants going to upset them. Tell them you put in $1,000 on the money line. Let these boys know that they're about to not only lose their pride, they're going to lose the game, and they'll probably lose some money if they bet on those Eagles, huh?
Listen, and if you've watched our show this year, you know I'm a realist about the Giants. I don't say they're going to win every week. I do say when they're overmatched. I normally don't pick the Giants, to be honest, and I'm a big Giant fan. But listen, this is what we were talking about before the show, right? There is a perfect storm of events that I'm not saying, the Giants should be favored, obviously not, but there's a perfect storm of events that I think put the Giants in a really good position this weekend. And those few things are, I think it's good for the Giants and the Eagles basically haven't really been playing at full force for 4 weeks, right? Jalen's been hurt. He came back in week 18, but the Giants didn't have everyone out there. And the Giants were competitive with the backups. The Giants have momentum going into this game. I'll be the first to tell you the Vikings defense stinks. So let's not overreact to the Giants beating the Vikings. But they went out, they took care of business, they won the game. And they are carrying a lot of positive mojo, for lack of a better word, into Saturday night in what's going to be, right, a division rivalry. And what do we know happens in the NFL? Weird things happen in division rivalries. Are the Eagles the better football team? Absolutely. I won't deny that. But it's a division rivalry. Good things are happening for the Giants. They have a lot of momentum. It's not a good spot, I think, in my opinion, for the Eagles right now.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that.
It's not, and I agree.
Yeah, as a Giants fan, Joe, I'm sure you're happy that Sean Jackson's out of the playoffs. You don't got to worry about that guy. But the way I see it is this. Giants have more momentum. Daniel Jones stepped up and played great. The guy hasn't got credit his entire career. Hodgins stepped up. they really didn't need Barkley to win that game. Yeah, Barkley scored 2 touchdowns, but he didn't really have a monster game here. And I think it's better that Jalen's rested. And I was telling Dave before you guys hopped on, there's more stress on Jalen this year than last year. So they should be in this game. I think it's going to be a tight game, Tone. I do think the Eagles should win. If I had to bet money on like which team is going to win, I would say the Eagles are going to win. But I think it's tight. And the way the Giants are just as an organization is like these are the ways they win a Super Bowl or make it deep. Not when they have like the best team ever, when they just have a good enough team that's playing well. So I think it's going to be a tight game. I do think the Eagles win, but I think Giants fans and the Giants themselves, they're free rolling into this. It's like no pressure on, even though there's a lot of pressure, but like they didn't expect to be here. Now they're here and they're catching Jalen off injury. And then you guys have some other injuries that are out there too on your defensive side and offensive line. So like you're not at full strength. Not that the Giants are at full strength, but it's going to be a tight game here. And we get to bet on it. We get to work on some player props, and we also get to build some lineups. So we're going to be building some lineups. Make sure you check us out at windailysports.com. Let's go to the first game, though, Tone. We've been watching Mahomes. We've been watching Trevor Lawrence, and I want your thoughts on this game, man, from a DFS perspective, betting perspective. Do they just get manhandled by the Chiefs in this game?
Well, hold on. Because I Dave didn't get to talk, so we get to Dave in a minute. Because Dave's gonna back me up here, but I'm trying to figure out why you're thinking Jalen Hurts is under more stress than ever right now. This dude just went out and played at MVP level. Hold on, he's gonna get $46 to $50 million a year, even if he goes and lays a freaking egg in the playoffs. It doesn't matter. This dude is the most unstressed quarterback in the NFL. The guy who should be stressed is your boy Danny Dimes, because who knows what's going to happen next year. There's a lot of baggage on that team when it comes to free agency. I'm just saying. So the person that needs to be stressed is Danny Dimes. And please, let's not make him out to be Joe Montana. He did. He had a couple of games, and I like Danny. He's a good kid. But come on, give me a freaking break with this Danny Dimes stuff, okay? So, I'm sorry. Yeah, the Danny Dimes talk that everybody all of a sudden he's like this supreme freaking athlete needs to stop.
So let me make a counterpoint to that real quick.
Go ahead, Joel. Hook it up. Let's go.
Jalen, I think you made a good point. I just think the result is different, right? I think you look at Jalen Hurts, you're right. He's getting paid $40 to $50 million
either way,
regardless of outcome. If Danny Dimes goes out and beats the Eagles and has a perfect game, he's also making $40 to $50 million after that game. So there's a lot more incentive on Danny Dimes to come out now this week and say, listen, balls to the wall. If I ball out here, I'm getting rich. If Hurts has a terrible game, he's still going to be rich. So it won't really matter for him.
That's
Joe.
Joe, comment to the.
All right, you go, Dave. Go first.
Come on, Dave. Give me some fly Eagles 5, baby. Let's go.
Comment to the pressure thing, and that's where I get skewed. Like I say, played in a playoff game last year. He played a national championship game. This isn't going to be anything bigger for Jalen Hurts playing the New York Giants, which, all due respect, have a terrible defense. They have one player, Dexter Lawrence, that's great, and we got to find a way to kind of, contain him. But outside of that, we hung 49 on this team when we had a full squad. So let's just be honest. It's going to be a good game, but I don't think there's pressure on Jalen. I think he's going
to need to correct you again. He got benched in the national championship game, and they needed the backup to come in to win the game. So if we want to talk about pressure, if another big game happens again and he's not playing well, he gets pulled again, that could be his career.
Gardner time. Yeah,
but that's the point. Like, he has played in big games.
I want to ask. We'll continue fighing about this. Let's take a quick minute break. I just want to ask you guys a question because I saw this on Twitter and I thought it was actually a really good question. I'm not going to take credit for it, but someone put out there, if you had to pay Danny Dimes or pay Lamar Jackson, and you get a slight discount on Danny Dimes, whether you pay Lamar 5 years, 200, and maybe you get Danny Dimes for 5 years, 140 or 150, whatever it is. Dave, what do you say there? Do you take the younger, healthier Danny Dimes, or do you take Lamar Jackson, explosive, can break any type of play, Lamar Jackson?
I've never been the biggest Danny Dimes fan, but over the past 3-4 weeks, he's shown me something. And I'm to the point now that I would load up on Danny if I'm the Giants. Look, Lamar's great. We all love him, but there's just not enough confidence he can do it year in and year out for 17 games. And Danny does, and he does it with running, and he does it with passing. And I think he's earned a spot to stay in the big blue.
Joe, if you had the choice, and not even, let's forget the Giants. If you're the any team out there who can go out there and do it, would you take Lamar or you take Danny Dimes at a discount, slight discount?
So the reality is Danny Dimes is good, and he deserves to be a starter in the NFL. He doesn't deserve to make $40 million or anything like that.
Yeah.
The problem is there's probably only 17 quarterbacks that are good, and there's 30 teams. So teams will overpay for a guy to get someone who can compete. So he's going to get overpaid because there's just not enough quarterbacks out there, and someone needs to go get one. There's no alternative. The Giants have to resign him. They got to overpay him a little bit just because what else are you going to do? Right? You got a team that's competing, and you're going to start with what if you don't have Danny Dimes?
But if you had the choice, though, would you take a Lamar or you take a discounted Danny Dimes?
I mean, Lamar is better right now for sure. I do have concerns with Lamar long term because I don't think that style is going to last for very long. Whereas while Danny Dimes runs a lot too, I think Danny Dimes is a little bit bigger and doesn't rely as much on his running. So, and Danny Dimes is a little bit younger still. So for long-term Dimes, but I mean, if I was the Jets who can win now, I'd rather have Lamar.
Tone, your thoughts here? I think you're leaning Lamar by the way you're making his face look.
I'm just. Can somebody pinch my arm and just tell me? Am I sitting in a room right now where we're comparing Lamar Jackson and Danny friggin' Dimes? This is a former MVP. Am I not correct? Guy can take over a game at any given friggin' time. If you have the option, you 100% go with Lamar Jackson. I mean, unless the guy's got two legs that are falling off, you go with Lamar Jackson. I mean, I agree with Joel. Listen, Danny Dimes has played well, like Dave said, but he's not a $40 million quarterback. He is by default, right? He is by default. He's like, he's not like Chase Daniel stealing money for forever. But I mean, he's going to get paid by default. But come on, man, we're talking about Lamar Jackson versus Danny Dimes. Are we kidding right now? I don't know.
But if you could get a third of the price Danny Dimes and not have to pay because you got to do something to get Lamar. They can franchise tag him. You have to pay for him. Right?
He's special, man.
You would have to
Let me add this. Hold on. Let me add this then. If you are the GM right now, of the Baltimore Ravens, where you've been this year, if you had Danny Dimes right now, you might still be playing.
Yeah, that is
true. Lamar cost you, right?
And I'll say this. I'll say this to kind of cap this conversation. I think and I'm not no doctor, I'm not there, but I think there would have been a good chance that Lamar played if he was under contract.
I agree.
I agree. There's probably a good chance. And I'm not pretending to be doctor. I'm not there, but there's probably a good chance. And if I was Lamar Jackson, I wouldn't have played without my contract if I'm at all banged up because I didn't see this as a Super Bowl team. You didn't put enough talent out there. And I know it sucks to say, but they messed up the entire situation 100%. And they deserve to lose the game. And I'm sure Lamar was laughing at home when he would have scored from there. They would have won that game probably. That was a game they could have easily won. But, Tone, Kansas City favored by 8.5. Did they cover that spread? Because they typically don't cover in this spot as this big of favorites. I saw something on Twitter earlier. He's Mahomes is 11 and 18, and there's more than a 7-point favorite at home, whatever the case may be. How do you see this game being played out? Because I don't think the Jags looked great, but they moved on. And, 4 interceptions. Now you're going to go into KC where they're going to be able to put up points all game long, and they have a better coach that knows how to hold a lead here in Kansas City. Is this a blowout waiting to happen?
No. I don't look at 4 picks. I look at 4 touchdowns. I look at a young kid that comes in and faces major adversity in the first half, but it's basically dead and comes in and just blows the doors off. No matter who they played, it doesn't even matter who the opponent is, okay? Doug P versus Andy Reid obviously come from the same tree, right? They come from the same mold. Honestly, I 100% don't think that Jacksonville will win this game, but I think this is going to be just like the Eagles and Giants game. I think it's been a lot closer than people think. I think Jacksonville is going to give them a good run because don't sleep on the Jacksonville defense. All I'm saying, don't. And Mahomes has been very erratic with the football this year, even though he's put up monster numbers. If you get him out of the pocket, rush him, and frazzle him just a little bit, he tends to make mistakes. So I'm just throwing it out there. I think it's going to be closer than a lot of people think.
Yeah, I'd be shocked if they lose, but I can see a close game. At times Mahomes does. They were trying to do some wild shit in the last couple games, so you never know. They can get ahead of themselves. Joe, you like the passing attack for the Jaguars? Kirk, Zay Jones, Marvin Jones, ATN. How would you attack this game from a DFS perspective?
I think Tony made a good point. They're playing great, the Jaguars, the offense are, and they look good. But if they're going to compete, it's going to be the defense. They got to slow Mahomes down. If they can get Mahomes, they can hold them to under 28, 24 points. If this becomes a shootout, they're not going to be able to keep up pace with the Chiefs. So from that standpoint, from a DFS perspective, there's a lot to like about the Chiefs because they could score it. They could end up running it up, right? This pass defense of the Jaguars, has given up some big games. And I'll look at playing Mahomes and some of these Chiefs, especially these second-tier pass catchers on the Chiefs who are lower priced. And then because it's such an explosive offense on that end, same thing goes on the Jaguar side because, these guys like Zay Jones and Ingram's prices come up a little bit, but they're good value receivers in the game that should have points.
Now, Dave, man, let's go to the Sunday afternoon game. Who's worse, man? The Bills almost losing to the Dolphins or the Bengals almost losing to Ravens? Like, I thought that Bills game was going to be over before it started. Skylar Thompson, playing at home, Buffalo. I thought it was going to be a walk in the park. That game became super close. They almost blew that. They've blown games all season long. This Buffalo team is on thin ice. And then the Bengals, man, they almost lost to Tyler Huntley. They should have lost to the Ravens. Like, the Bills, they did what they had to do at the end of the day, but Baltimore really gave that game up. Who wins this game, man? Because this is a close one.
Buffalo. I think in the end, the injuries on the Cincinnati offensive line are just going to be too large to overcome. Buffalo's actually been decent at pressuring the quarterback, even without, one of their best players in Von Miller. So I think they can create enough pressure on Burrow up in that environment. I still think the Bills can figure this thing out. I do respect both teams and can see the game script going either way. But what I do see is a very heavy passing game. We saw it quickly when they played before DeMar Hamlin got hurt, that this was going to be an up and down track meet. And I do think that can still happen this week. But when we go up and down track meet and we know that since he has to pass, I think that's in Buffalo's favor. So in the end, I do like Buffalo to really come out and play one of their better games because Buffalo is one of those, very roller coaster-y type of teams. They'll play a great one, then they'll play this close one. I think we're going to see the best out of Buffalo this week. Hamlin's been in the facility working out. I think there's a lot to say for motivation and getting one out of the way that was closer than they thought it should have been. I do like Buffalo a lot.
Yeah, I agree to that. I think Buffalo is a better team. I just think Josh Allen needs to take a step back, from my perspective. He just can't. He doesn't have to make the miracle play every single play. He shouldn't be fighting with linemen. Like, the guy's getting a little bit too gassed up. He just needs to take it down like 2 notches, and he'll probably be a lot better. Don't go to Tom Brady levels where you're giving up on every play. Like, that was putrid to watch on Monday night. Like, what Brady was doing back there. It was like, anytime he saw pressure, he threw the ball away, threw it to somebody's feet. It was ridiculous. Yeah, it was just like, what are you even trying to do here? And Josh Allen's the opposite. He's trying to run through everybody, make all these miracle throws, and he makes a lot of them, but those couple that he doesn't make turns into a pick or a fumble, and they start running them back for touchdowns. That's how they lose this game. But if they win a turnover battle, I think they win that game. Now, Joe, Cowboys, Niners, which Dak is the real Dak? Was it the one that we saw on Monday or was it the one that we saw against Commanders? He's been fluky. He's been back and forth. I think he was overrated on Monday night, but I don't think he's as bad as he was against Washington. What's your thoughts on Dak, and did this Niners defense just shut him down here?
Yeah, I just think this year we haven't seen the Dak that we were expecting, and it's been all year. I mean, he played okay, Monday night, but it still wasn't, the Dak of last year or we were seeing in years past, and I don't think that changes. I don't think this offense changes. I think that the Niners take care of business.
John, who do you got here? Who do you got, number one? And let's assume the Eagles are a better team and Joel cries on Saturday night after they lose. Who do Who do you think wins, and who do you prefer to win here? Is it the Niners or is it the Cowboys?
Oh, it's 100% the Cowboys. I want nothing to do with the 49ers. I said that the day they made that Christian McCaffrey trade. He is the best thing that Kyle Shanahan could ever have to formulate an offense, and a healthy Christian McCaffrey at that. So, listen, I know everybody's like, Brock Purdy this, Brock Purdy that. Listen, man, he just needs to be a game manager. In that offense with that defense, that's the one team that I've always said that scares me in the East. So yeah, I hope I hate to say it, and I know our boy Josh, the producer of the series, ain't listening, so I won't hear I love the Cowboys, but I would love nothing more than the Cowboys to beat the Niners, because I'd much rather play Dallas. I'll be honest.
Dave, you cover some college. You and Joel do some college football. Is Purdy a guy that's going to be a starting quarterback in the future, or is he just riding the wave with this Niners offense and defense, or is he the real deal?
Not the real deal, but in a Kyle Shanahan managed offense, almost anybody can be. So if he stays with San Francisco, he can be something. Something being a top 15 quarterback. He's hasn't shown it yet, but he's often turnover prone. He locks in. The arm strength isn't tremendous, but in that offense, when you can do so many different things with Debo, with C-Mac, with Kittle, all these good safety blankets, instead of having this wide spread out offense, he can be something. And what I will say, I agree with Tony. I have preseason money on the Niners. I was big on the Niners before the season. So Eagles, Niners, perfect, for me, I'll win one way or the other, but I feared them. I feared them from day one. I thought they were bringing back a team. Don't forget, this is a team that got the NFC Championship last season, and we're knocking on the doorstep versus Los Angeles Rams, and probably should have won that game if Garoppolo could have done anything. I think Purdy could do a little more than Garoppolo, which is crazy to say.
So you got the Niners moving on, facing your Eagles, and then you got the Bengals moving on, facing the Chiefs, I'm assuming?
No, Bills.
Oh, the Bills move. Yeah, the Bills, Chiefs. And then who do you got in your Super Bowl prediction right now?
Eagles, Bills.
Eagles, Bills. Tone, who do you got?
I'm same way. Philly, Buffalo.
Joel, Giants? Eli Manning?
No, I got Niners, Bengals.
Ooh. I like it.
I'll go, just to be different from everybody else, I'll go Niners, and let's go Niners, Bills. Bills pull off a miracle. They make it there. But right now, let's do the DraftCast. Let's get that thing cooking. We're going to go in tandem. So me and Joel are going to be on one side. And then Dave and Tony are going to draft their own team on DraftKings as well. So let's get this thing cooking here. Now, Dave, I think you won more than anybody else this year. So I think you can decide who goes first and how we're going to play this thing out.
I'll go first, and I'll give you guys the next two.
Well, you got to talk to your partner.
Tone,
you can't be taking all the picks. Yeah, talk to your partner.
My man does not but win, so I'm in.
So, Tone, here's my thought. And I play a lot of NFL playoff pools, and this week it's Mahomes or it's Hurts. I think let the Allen Burrow thing kind of balance itself out, but I think we got to hammer one of these quarterbacks early. What do you think?
I'm thinking the same thing, man. I was looking at this early. For me, I'll save. I know everybody gonna say, I'll save the $400 and I'll go Jalen, man. I just think he has more ability to run the ball in for a couple scores that really help us.
So, Joe, we don't have to take.
Do it. That's where I was.
Joe, we don't have to take a quarterback till the end now. They made the easy choice for us. But let's talk quarterbacks, and let's just talk some strategy around quarterbacks here. You have the slate pulled up. I got the slate pulled up. How are you looking at quarterback, Joe?
The interesting thing about quarterback this week is that there's only 8 to choose from, but they're like 5 of the best quarterbacks in the league all playing. So they're like 5 superstars. You can go in a direction. I think one direction I like to go is Burrow, because he's the significantly cheaper and he's still one of the superstars in which would be a high scoring game. So I'm early lean Burrow right now.
Are you ruling out Purdy and Daniel Jones with the defenses of Dallas maybe bringing pressure? Are you ruling out Dak for San Fran? you have an 8 quarterback slate. What's your feel on these quarterbacks, though? Like, is it – I kind of agree with you. Like, Mahomes, Allen, Hurts, they're kind of like in that top tier, and they're priced accordingly. And then you got Joe Burrow, which you're getting the discount. He's that guy. And you got Trevor Lawrence probably playing garbage time, so there's something there. Daniel Jones, discount is there, but Philly's defense worries me a little bit. But he's got the rushing upside, and I think it's crazy. I was sitting there talking. I was hanging out with 4 Giants fans. I'm like, it's funny how Daniel Jones is not considered a running quarterback. Whether it's DFS, maybe DFS players are a little bit sharper, but like in the real world, like nobody thinks that Daniel Jones is like, oh, that's a running quarterback right there. But he's been running for more yards than most guys. So how do you rate these guys if you're not going up top with the top 3?
My number one, if I'm going to go cheaper, is actually Trevor Lawrence. I just think that's the best scoring environment in a game where I don't think the Jaguars are going to win, but either way, if they get blown out, it's good for him because he's going to be throwing all game trying to come back. And if it's a close game, I just don't see them shutting down the Chiefs. So if it's a back and forth, I still think it just gives him an opportunity to score. So from that perspective, I don't think they're going to win. I don't think they're favored. I just think it's a good scoring and DFS environment for the game.
Yeah, I'll show it out there, Daniel Jones. Well, we're trying to talk some quarterbacks here. Daniel Jones did throw up 19 against this team. Against the Eagles earlier this year. I know it's a different team, different time. All right, Joel, let's stop talking quarterbacks. There's not too many good running backs on this slate. I don't got faith in the Eagles running backs. I don't even know if Sirianni knows who he's running out there. Kansas City's been super tough, too, because McKinnon just keeps scoring touchdowns, and Pachenko is getting involved, and then Ronald Jones finds a way to get in. Mixon hasn't done anything all year. Singletary, Cook are kind of shitty. Do you want to just grab McCaffrey, get the free square, and put that guy in?
I'm okay with McCaffrey. I think my only issue with McCaffrey, obviously, I think he could be the best player in the slate. He's great. It's just a lot of money to pay for a running back. If he is even average, it hurts you because you can find average elsewhere. So,
you make the choice, Joe. McCaffrey or Barkley? Who do you prefer?
Give me Saquon.
You want Saquon? All right, man. You guys are all picking with your hearts here. You got Saquon coming in, Jalen Hurts on the backside. All right, we'll go Saquon, man. I'll trust you. We got another pick too. So running back is light, man. If you feel good about another running back, I kind of have the slight lean on McCaffrey over Barkley by a smidge, whatever the hell you want to call it. Who do you like for value? Is it ATN just getting volume?
I like ETN. He's a good value there. Kansas City run D is pretty strong, but they're going to score points. I think he's a fine play. If you really want to look for value, and I'm talking now like GPP value, not something that's safe that play in a cash game, but I'm also looking at Eli Mitchell and James Cook here. These guys are really cheap at the bottom. They both have the ability to break off a big run. They'll get enough carries, or they'll be involved enough where they can be in that winning kind of GPP lineup. So if there's 2 guys I'm rolling the dice on in the backfield, those would be the 2 I'd be looking at.
All right, give me ATN. You chose Barkley. I'm gonna trump you. I'm gonna go ATN. I just want to beat these Philly guys, and I think getting these running backs that are safe. I think there could be some landmines out there. So give me ATN. I think his price is $6,400. Let me see here. Yeah, $6,400.
Oh yeah, you got it. It is.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, you guys are up back-to-back picks.
We got 10 minutes to make 2 picks here, Cone. So
yeah, I was gonna say we got shot
go?
clock here, man. We'll be here till like 1 a.m. Let me see. I got a bedtime, man. I'm old. So
I do think we go. They use running backs. Do we go there or do we go somewhere else?
So I got to ask you guys because I'm new to the show here. So like, how does this work? Are we not allowed to pick the same guy? Or
you can't pick the same guys, Tony. You got to pick independent.
Yep.
So whoever we pick. So now, like basically, since you picked a quarterback, I know you don't need a quarterback, so I'm saving my quarterback. Towards the end, we'll figure it out. So you can pick your strategy around that.
So basically, because they took running backs and we don't, so we could just focus on receiver now.
We can still slide a running back in our flex and take another running back off the board from you guys. And then loser has to chug a beer next week on the show too. Just putting that out there.
Can I? I'm on a diet, bro. I got to chug on sweet iced tea.
No, you get your son has to come and pour a bucket of ice over your head or something else fun.
I'll try.
We're not going to lose. It doesn't matter, Tim. We're not going to lose.
Yeah.
Dave never loses.
We don't lose. We don't lose.
So
I
I'm
like
thinking if we go receiver, one of my favorite. Where you got receiver? Because I do think CD has value here because of San Fran's D-backs. There's some other ones. What do you like?
Man, this is like Joel said, man. Like even with the top quarter, I mean, you have some of the top receivers in the league. I mean, listen. I'll say this, Dave. The one guy that I'll always go to day in and day out, and no, I'm not going to go Philly bias here, but is Stephon Diggs. I just, this dude is the best receiver in my opinion. Gets always open all the time, and he's most consistent week to week. And I don't know, man. I just look at that Buffalo team. That's Josh's guy. When we talk playoff time, right? When we talk playoff time, it's the big guys that shine. I mean, 19 targets in 2 weeks, 100 yards the last 2 weeks, big average. I mean, I'm in on Stephon Diggs.
Let's do it. I wanted to lock in one ace, and I actually don't want to lock in an Eagles receiver. And hear me out on this. So I like Diggs here. I see a lot of value, and Jay, I called it last week, a lot of value at the tight end position, right? Almost everyone hit. Like, it was just crazy tight end week. Looking at tight ends this week, Kelsey's like a free square, but it's a lot of money. I think our boy Goddard's the guy in the passing game. I think we got to attack. You watch TJ Hawkinson go for like 20 targets, against the Giants. I'm thinking we grab Dallas here with a little discount over Kelsey.
I love it. I see at least two tight end screens in this game, man.
Yeah, I just think he's 8 targets. He's 8 targets minimum, I think, in this. And at 4,500, I love that over 7,700.
Exactly.
Joel, these guys are complaining about our time clock, so I texted you some names. Do you like any of those names that I texted you? I don't want to give up my text. No group text. It's a private Giants.
This ain't on Discord, is it?
It's a private Giants text. I threw out some wide receiver names. You like any of those guys?
Yeah, I like Zay.
All right, so let's plug in some Zay Jones. What about the other guy? If I say the other guy's name, he's going to be drafted next. So just do you like the first guy I mentioned, the one with Zay?
No, I'd rather not as much. I like the guy you mentioned in your second text or one of the third, preferably probably. The thing is, the guy I like from that team is probably not the one that most people are taking, so I don't think we need to take him here.
Okay. So you pick another wide receiver, though. I think that's the spot to go. They got tight ends.
Let's go with T.
All right. T. Higgins it is.
All right. I like it.
A lot of Jaguars on that squad.
I know.
They're going to be playing from behind, and they got your boy Goldilocks throwing the ball to him.
Goldilocks. My man, 4 TDs, man.
For that first half, I had to see him throw pick and then do his hair one more time, I was going to turn off the TV, bro. It was gross.
I'm just trying to figure who gets more ass, him or Jimmy G.
Definitely Jimmy.
Yeah. I think T-Law's got a girl, but Jimmy's always hitting on every reporter too, so I'm going Jimmy. But
oh yeah, dude, he's got the hammer ready each game.
Yep. All right, Tone. I think we get one receiver here, and then we go back. We can squeeze a running back in. So, what's one of your other favorite receiver spots? I can tell you from my perspective, I do think the Giants will have to use one of those under-owned receivers. We could look there and get some discount. Or is there anyone else you like?
No, I'll be honest with you. I got a running back that I want, so I'll let you go receiver here.
Okay, perfect. So, I think it's going to actually be. I'm going to go off the script of the Giants receivers. I'm going to go Brandon Ayuk. I just think, we had a nice, solid game out of Debo last week. Cheap value. We've talked about it, Jay, on that DraftCast. That was a guy that you really could blow up a slate. I think Ayuk's that guy this week. You're going to have Diggs chasing around Debo, and I think that's a decent matchup for Dallas. But I think Ayuk's all day. I really like him in this matchup.
I like that. I like that a lot. I definitely like that. For running back, I'm going to make this easy, man. I completely disagree with Jay. No disrespect, but, last 5 weeks, this dude had 29 targets, 25 receptions, 265 yards and 8 touchdowns, man. Andy Reid is going to Jerick McKinnon all day long. Yep. I don't care about nobody else. This dude is an absolute PPR monster, and he will continue to be that in the playoffs. He will lean on the veteran because that's what Andy Reid does. You lean on your veteran running back, and that's going to be Jerick McKinnon. So for 6,000, give me him all day.
I love that pick. I was eyeing him up, so we're
all right, yeah, bro. Philly love, baby. Fly,
we didn't have to text it either. It was through
Can we
here.
play the
Oh,
Eagles flight song?
You
Yo,
guys,
can we play the
you
Eagles
guys,
flight
man.
song?
Oh,
We got
man.
that?
Joe, just so I know, I can strategize. We won't pick him now, but where do you want to go at quarterback here? Do you want to go Burrow? Do you want to pay up? Do you want to pay down? What do you?
Right now, I'm looking at what we can do with this lineup. I've already put together the spec of every pick we go from here. I think a good strategy here is to go and lean on Lawrence. We already have two guys that on his offense that could be potential pass catchers.
I got a bias towards Lawrence, man. I just don't believe in this dude.
I don't love him either. I just think he makes sense for this roster.
But Burrow's there, only $500 more. You don't like that? The matchup you worried about, or just him playing from behind? I don't mind.
I like Burrow a lot. I'm okay with Burrow. We'd have to change one of my picks somewhere else, but I'd be happy with Burrow.
All right, give me your other pick first, then. Let me see who else you like here.
So I'll just say I wanted to steal Kelsey, and if we're going to steal Kelsey, we need to get cheap and make that work. But I think Kelsey's going to have a big day, and if we can get the high scoring tight end here, I think that'll be a solid pick.
All right, go for it, man. So I'm plugging that in, and we gotta go cheap now. Who are you gonna go? I'm looking at the pricing right now. If you went Kelsey, so he's already locked in. You tell me you're gonna go Lawrence, so we have to go super cheap at wide receiver and our flex here.
As a Giants fan, I like Richie James. I think everyone's going to overcompensate for Hodgins after he had the big day last week. I think they're a coin flip, and you'll get a much lower owned, cheaper Richie James, who I think has just as much upside.
Who do you think covers, maybe these Philly guys? We'll go James, but I just want to talk about it for everybody else that's listening right now. Tone, who's the guy to attack with against the Philly secondary? Because they're pretty strong in the secondary. Is there a position that you feel like, Hodgins is better or Richie James is better? We already got James. This won't hurt or help us. I just want to get your guys' take because you watch this team a lot more than I do.
Well, what I'll say is, and I'll let Dave go, but I like Richie James this week specifically because you're going to have a guy like TJ Edwards that's going to be spying on Saquon all day, and Richie James loves going across the middle for those 5-7 yard outs, so he'll be there all day. That's what's going to happen because you're at Bradbury and Slay covering the two receivers. You're going to have the middle wide open, and it's going to be Richie James. So that's going to be the vulnerability to me in the Eagles defense right now.
Dave, do you agree? And do you agree to fade Hodges and Slayton because they have the tougher matchups here?
I agree. I mean, Slay and Bradbury have obviously been all pro level. And one thing we've seen with Daniel Jones is he does not throw the ball down the field. He is trying to take these, quick hitters, and these quick hitters in this offense, it's going to be Richie this weekend. That was the one cheap Giants receiver I like. I think Hodgins is actually getting close to priced out now, especially the questionable tag. I would have gone James, then Slayton, and Hodgins would have been my third. I think Slayton can still get some of those bubble screens and some stuff. The slant over the middle that he obviously dropped was key, but he is good.
That could have been huge.
Over the middle.
That could have been huge. Joe, what did you do when he dropped that ball?
I was sick. I just felt like the game was turning. I was like,
it was over.
And you know what? I was also like, to me, that play, I was happy to just run the clock, go and punt. So when we threw it, he was open, and then he dropped it. Like so many things, but
when I was watching that game with like 4 diehard Giants fans and one of my best friends, and the amount of times I heard someone say, "Why didn't they hand the ball off to Saquon?" Like,
yes,
they were throwing every single down. They're like, "Why aren't they running the ball to Saquon?" I'm like, it's actually working. The Vikings defense is terrible. Just keep throwing it. It's like the offense is moving. They scored pretty much on every drive, so I think they actually had a good play call. But yeah, late in the game, I was like, why are they not running the ball here though? Like it didn't really make sense, but pretty interesting way that turned out. Tone, I think it's up to you guys here, man. We're looking pretty good on our end, so you guys got some picks to make.
Tone, here's my strategy. We got the big, we got the big wolf out there in Christian McCaffrey. We can get there with a couple cheap wide receivers or flex spots and a cheap D. I'm okay swinging there. If I didn't swing there, I'd go Miles, but I feel better with C-Mac, don't you?
Dude, if I could give you my DraftKings page right now, I literally just put them in our lineup. Yeah, so we're on the same page. Let's go with the two. They're going to be the 2 top running backs on the slate, in my opinion. So let's go.
Yeah,
we got them on our team.
I think we can really balance out this lineup. I'm not worried about defense. I can go as cheap as like Cincinnati versus Buffalo because we know what Allen likes to do and turn it over a few times, right? So
Yep.
if we get stuck there, let's look at receiver though, and let's try and grab one in the 4K range and then balance it out.
I'm gonna text you right now.
I'm ready.
I got something for you, bro. I know we're on the
I
clock.
got one that's way cheap. I want to see if you say the same thing.
Let's say, ready? I'm gonna give it to you.
5, 4.
Yeah, he's playing on Sundays, Mike.
I just texted you.
Okay, there we go. I'm good. We're gonna go T.Y. Hilton. I love it.
You
playing
guys
on
playing
Sunday.
T.Y.
Let's go, baby. Let's go.
It seems like Dak trusts him, and that's
he's involved,
the
man. He's involved.
Yeah,
We're coming off the street. He's actually involved. It's crazy.
Yeah. Yep. So I love it.
It's a veteran. He's been there.
That leaves us 5,500, 6,000 for our next spot. So that's good.
Yep, exactly.
You guys didn't realize that we were texting prior to that, and we're going to take the Bengals defense. So
go ahead.
Have fun taking a different defense. And Joel, go out there, man, and make the next pick.
Yeah, so we're going to go ahead. We're going to take the Bengals D. We have to, out of necessity, to make this work. And we're going to pair them with Juju Smith-Schuster.
Juju.
And the idea here is we're going all in on the Chiefs-Jaguars game. It wasn't our plan pre-draft. It worked out that way, but at this point, we might as well go all in with a plan. And the plan is, if that's the high-scoring game, we're going to be in really good shape.
All right, Juju, it is. He's 51. So that leaves you with enough for T-Law, right?
Yeah, you can put him in if you want to finish it off. But yeah, that's where we're going here. Drama. While you guys think it out, man, like I was texting Joel, like I'm not a Lawrence guy, and I've been fading Kelsey for like the past like 7 to 10 weeks. Casey is so spread out, and they're getting everybody kind of healthy. Kelsey kind of worries me at 7,700, but he could be that slate breaker at the same time. So for GPPs, everybody's available on a 4-game slate, guys. Like anybody listening, T.Y. catches, a touchdown. He dropped a big pass the other day. He can easily go for 10, and he can be that guy. And the winning lineup last week, I think, for the Million Maker, do you guys remember what defense it was? I'm pretty sure it was the Miami Dolphins.
It was.
That just somehow took it down the Million Maker. It happened to work, and they scored that touchdown. So, like, things can get weird on a 4-game slate or a 6-game slate, especially during the playoffs. So, don't be afraid. If you like the rest of your lineup, say, screw it, T.Y. Hilton works, or the Bengals D works, or hey, I'm paying up for Kelsey this week. Things got to be a little bit different and play that ownership game. We got our ownership on our optimizer. We'll have our expert chat, talking everything out. We'll be doing shows on Sirius Saturday and Sunday nights, sweating some lines with you guys. And I'll be sure to put some props in. And Dave, maybe I'll have some bets up on our Discord as well. But you guys round out your lineup and see what you got.
Good,
so,
Dave.
Tim, we got 2 ways to look at this. So you spoke earlier, and I liked it, and maybe we'll speak it into existence. Jaguars D can get us home with a Miles or a George Kittle. But if we want to take a step back, and pay for the Eagles or Chiefs, then we're going to have to go James Cook. Almost like punting on D and banking on Kittle or Sanders. What do you think?
Dude, this is why we're together. I put Jaguars and Kittle in there just in case to level it out. That's what I had. So perfect. Miles scares me.
I love it. I love it. I think. Yeah, I love it. Well, because it's Boston Scott week. I get it.
Yeah, the Giant killer. Even though Wink said
Kittle had a Giant game last week.
I like that.
All right, so we'll complete the Trevor Lawrence stack.
We actually ended up, what I like is that we got 4 guys into that late game on Sunday. So I do think that has a little more offense like it did. Brock Purdy was the leading quarterback outside Dak this past weekend. So I like it. I like where we're at. And let me add.
That shit was ridiculous, man. That was tilting when he got that rushing touchdown where that ball could have been in earlier, and he ended up being the high scorer. I had a lineup or two with him, but didn't go. I went over Danny Dimes in the full slate over Purdy, and Purdy went out there and did his thing. So, Joe, what do you think the highest scoring game in the slate is?
I mean, my heart or my money?
With your money, man. We're talking to the listeners. The highest scoring game on the slate. Who is it?
I think it's going to end up being Buffalo, Cincinnati.
Okay. Are we dealing with weather out there yet? Because I'm seeing some weather. It is Buffalo. It's warmer in New York today, but do we have any weather concerns in Buffalo? I'm going to pull it up real quick right now to see.
Doesn't look like it.
No, and I'll tell you, my concern is the way Cincinnati's played these past 5 playoff games. They just played a slower pace in the playoffs. I'm with you, Joel. That's what it should be. I'm just wondering if Cincinnati wants to play different. I just don't know yet. Like, that was weird. Like, they should have ran that team off the field.
Yeah, it looks like there's some wind, potentially some rain, but not snow as of yet in Buffalo. So I want to keep an eye on that. It's still Wednesday. Shaking hit crazy out in Buffalo. We got Jim Thompson up there. So we'll be posting some weather reports in our chat. Tone, what do you think the stack is that you're going to need to take something down? Quarterback, wide receiver combo. Who do you think is going to be on the Million Maker lineup?
I'm sticking to that same game, man. I really am. I like. That's why I like Stephon Diggs. I think this is a Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs kind of game, and possibly you can sneak a tight end like a Dawson Knox who started the ball out, maybe a James Cook for some value. But I definitely think the Allen and Diggs connection is going to be the most profitable this weekend, in my opinion.
Dave, man, if you had to make one bet right now, what's the lock bet of the weekend?
Eagles team total. I do think they're going to score points. I'm a little nervous about if the Giants, I think they're going to score points too. I like what Tony said, 28, 24, something in that range. But I think their team total was sitting at 24.5 last time I checked. Let me double check. But I like their team total this weekend. I do think when people doubt the momentum factors, hurts his shoulder, I think they've had 2 weeks to script something up. And I think they're going to come out firing. And then it's going to be a good game the whole game. Don't get me wrong. But I like them to score points this week.
All right, I'm just gonna put out a couple things real quick, just so you guys are aware. There are player props out already. Just on the passing yards, you got Patrick Mahomes 310, Trevor Lawrence 250, Jones 221, Jalen 247. Burrow is actually above Josh Allen. Burrow is 275, Josh Allen 268, and then Purdy is 239. Dak Prescott 250. So Mahomes is the only guy over 300. Then there's a pretty big drop off till you get to Burrow and Josh Allen. Anything out there that stands out to you, Joel, about passing props?
Yeah, I like to go to. I actually like sticking with Mahomes. I think they're going to have a big game at home. Big, take care of business. So even though it's the highest number, I think I have the most confidence in that offense.
Okay. Tone, McKinnon's got 20 yards rushing at his prop. Pachenko 55, but you're expecting more passing attack out of McKinnon. ATN 66. Daniel Jones, surprisingly. Hey, let's ask you guys. Dave, what do you think Daniel Jones and Jalen Hurts rushing props are?
So last week you did this, and it was astronomical for Jones. I think it comes down this week. I'm going to say 39 for Jones, 50 for Hurts.
45 for Jones, 50 for Hurts. So you're pretty damn close. Surprisingly, Sanders is 66 and Saquon is only 69. I think that there should be a gap, wider than 5 yards between Sanders and Barkley. I find that kind of surprisingly. In the Buffalo game, Joe Mixon 48, Josh Allen 42, Singletary 43. And Tone, your boy McCaffrey, what do you think his rushing prop is? Zeke is 34. Pollard is 46. What do you think you got for McCaffrey, who I actually think is the best running back on the slate?
I'll say 84.5.
Joe, what do you think?
The over-under?
Yeah.
64.
Yeah, he's 65.5. So kind of low on McCaffrey. Receiving yards, let's go through a couple of these guys real quick. Christian Kirk, 64. Ingram, 46. McKinnon, 32. Juju, 50. MVS, 30. Marvin Jones, 28. Travis Kelce is high, but maybe Joel's right. He's 79.5, which I haven't seen him do in quite some time. Good for our team. Zay Jones, 54, so he's up there. A.J. Brown, 71. Devontae, 64. And then Richie James, 45. Goddard's 48. Hodgins, 40. They did the same thing with these Giants receivers. They got them all the same number, 45, 45, and 45. Last week I bet them all over. I think I hit all three of them.
Yeah.
45, 45, 45. This is a tougher matchup, though, than Minnesota. And last week they were all like 39, 40, 42. What's your thoughts here, Joel? Do they all go over, or it's less passing this week against Philly?
Well, the one thing I don't want to do is like carry over last week's results to this week because Minnesota is the worst pass defense in the league. So like it was a great bet last week because results were going to come against that defense. Less confidence this week. It's a much better defense. I do think one of them will get there. I just don't know which one. So you're kind of just like picking out of a hat.
Yeah, Stephon Diggs, 81. Jamar Chase, 82. Higgins is 66. Nice value we got there. Tone, I'm surprised, man. Surprised at you. I texted Joel a name. He didn't want to take him. I thought you're going to take him. I kind of wanted him. He kind of emerged again last week. Your boy, Gabe Davis, had a pretty big game, man. And his prop is only – actually, it's pretty high. It's 57.5, so it's under T. Higgins, obviously above Tyler Boyd. Why no Gabe Davis for anybody today?
Well, personally, I did look at him, but because we had Diggs, I didn't want to take both of the receivers on the team. So I definitely did look at him because I thought at 4,800, he's a really, really good value. And if you look, he's 19 targets in 2 games. He did have a big bet, but he had a 33-yard touchdown, so you take that off the 113, but still getting targets. But that's the only reason. If I don't have Stephon Diggs, I probably put him in there.
Joe, why didn't you want Gabe Davis? Because I put his name in the text. What do you not like about him? The price I felt was right. He emerged last week. Pretty good matchup against Cincinnati. They're going to need to score some points here. Why did you not like Gabe Davis in that spot?
I wouldn't say that I don't like him. I just think for me, he's very much so a GPP play, right? He's very far from safe. He definitely does have a lot of upside. If it could be one of those games where he catches a big one and he scores, and at 4,900, he's going to blow up that value. But there's just also a very low floor for a head-to-head matchup where he could go 1 and 2 catches for 30 yards. So I was just looking to avoid that floor.
Okay. San Fran is dangerous, man. Ayuk 53, Debo 54, Kittle 49, McCaffrey 34 on the receiving side. Seems kind of low. Gallup is 36, Dalton Schultz 42, and CD 77. Do we bet McCaffrey, Dave?
We can, but I feel like it's Ayuk. I mean, look what, last week we were watching Godwin get, 9 catches all over the middle all day. And Tampa runs a really crowded offense. That was one of my takeaways. Like, they have no spacing. And Godwin was still getting it. I think that's going to be Ayuk's spot this week. So I like Ayuk. 50's he could get it on 2 down the middle. But I also think you can get there with McCaffrey, but they're going to sell out. They're going to play a little different defense to try and take him out of the game. So I'm not sure I get all the way there on the receiving yards. I think McCaffrey runs it. I think that number at 65, I think he gets there on the running game.
Tone, what do you think? Is it going to be more of a passing attack for McCaffrey or more a running attack against this Cowboys defense?
No, I still think it's going to be more of a running attack. I think, just to go back to what Joel was saying earlier as well, that, this is why a guy like Eli Mitchell could be a really good value. Kyle Shanahan's going to live by running the ball. It's the playoffs, and we've watched this before. We watched this play out in Atlanta, watched it all over. So I definitely think McCaffrey and Mitchell form a nice 1-2 combo this weekend.
Yeah, our projections, just to look at them quick, we got on our optimizer at windailysports.com. Mahomes 1, Hurts 2, Josh Allen 3, Daniel Jones 4 ahead of Burrow, which they're probably expecting some, rushing attack here. Trevor Lawrence behind Burrow. Nobody liking Dak Prescott against that San Fran D. We got our running backs. Ownership will populate, as the week goes on here. It's too early to tell ownership. McCaffrey is slightly ahead of Barkley. And when you sort by value, I don't know. Is Hilaire back? If he's back, man, that kind of worries me a little bit more. I haven't really looked into that yet, but value is popping on McCaffrey and Barkley still because they're going to be in a good spot. ATN as well. On the wide receiver side, again, Mecole Hardman probably back. We need reports on this Kansas City offense. Richie James pop, Slayton pop, Zay Jones pop, Gabe Davis pop, and even, like Tony said, Stephon Diggs still pops at that 7,700 marker. I'm pretty much good to go here. Tone, one last thought, man. Give me a 30-second rant to tell Joe that the Eagles going to fly high on Saturday night. And also talk about your team, man. How you guys going to beat us down in our DraftCast?
Listen, man, I'm just going to say, obviously, when you get into the playoffs, we went through a whole off season. I'm going to toot my own horn here for a minute, because even in Philadelphia, people were dogging Jalen Hurts. The national media was dogging Jalen Hurts.
Yep.
And Dave knows, not just me, but there were a lot of people, but I was one of them that continued to say I was all in on Jalen. That when you have the intangibles that a guy like Jalen Hurts has, a guy that says, hey, coach, I want to do film study. Hey, coach, I want to spend more time in the training room. Hey, coach, I want to get behind my offensive lineman. Do people realize that Jalen Hurts attends the defensive back sessions? He attends the defensive back film sessions. You know why? Because his dad's a football coach. It's in his pedigree. So when you have that intelligence behind you, sky's the limit, man. So those intangibles to me will weigh out and come out full circle. And last thing, shout out to Lane Johnson, who's playing with a torn abductor, okay? Basically ripped his abdomen apart, and he's playing in this game because he wants to win a ring. So I'm just throwing it out there, man. We have the best line, and we have, in my opinion, the best quarterback when it comes to intangibles in the game. So I'm all in on the Eagles.
Tony, I agree with Jalen talk. You watch him a lot more, but when I saw him do an interview at his house at one time, and I seen like the picture he had where he's like basically leaving whatever Alabama to go to Oklahoma, wherever the hell he went to. His mindset is right. The way he's practicing, the way he's out there, it's all right. He's a guy that's going to be a leader for quite some time. He might not have the arm of certain guys or anything of certain guys, but he's got the heart and he's got the mindset that's correct. I think they're a better team here. I think they win, and I'm not even a Giants fan, right? I grew up a Niners fan with Steve Young and Jerry Rice, so I'm going to be I'll root more for the Giants because I'll probably be hanging out with Giants fans during this game. But the only thing that's like, I'm a Met fan too, right? So like, as a Met fan and a non-Giants fan, like, they just have something, man. I don't know if it's the organization, tomorrow, like, they just find ways to win Super Bowls.
Coach.
Like, yeah, it's coaching and it's just the organization. It's like the opposite of some of these shit organizations like the Raiders or the Commanders. Like, no matter what happens, they're not going to win. The Giants are the opposite, man. Like, even if they've done some dirt, whatever the case may be, like, they come back around, they're competitive, and that's the only thing that would scare me. And it does scare me if I was an Eagles fan, just simply because it's too much rest. Like, you want rest for football, but Jalen's gotten out like 4 weeks of rest, so he might come out slow. But the positive to your side, it's not like the Giants are like the Bills where they can put up like 21 points in a quarter. It's going to take them some time. So even if they got out to a 7 or 10 point lead, I think the Eagles have enough to come back if their defense stays strong. But Saquon healthy, this is going to be a very close game. I hope it's entertaining, and I hope it's close. And one of you guys will win. Dave, last thoughts, man. You're going to be at the game.
Yeah.
Are you when you go to so I go to a game, I got to bet it. Are you forcing bets at the game, or are you just like, I want to go as a fan with my family and have a good time?
Hell yeah, I'm betting it.
Okay,
Absolutely. Now, it depends if the liquor takes over the beer and makes those bets bigger than they should appear. We'll see once we're there and feeling it out. But let's just look, much respect to the Giants. Great season. But, if I had to paint a picture, this is the best matchup the Eagles could have got outside Seattle. And we'll see what happens. I mean, the Eagles are 5-0 in the division round when they play at home. They had the experience last year. It almost feels like the Giants are building what the Eagles built the year before, and they've made a great run. And all due respect, and then I do think the Eagles will pull it out. And I'm not sure I'm taking 7.5. I respect the Giants too much right now with 7.5. Jay, you're right. If it got down to 7, even if it slides under, I'll feel better. 7.5, I give the Giants that lean right now. And let me just say this: I closed last week was saying Debo's a sleeper. My other sleeper this week, and Tone, if we didn't go TY, I was looking at Kadarius Toney. So if you're going to go bargain, Tony, you're going to jump into that dumpster and grab something low. I just think the Chiefs have a lot more in store off the bye week for a guy that's kind of a secret weapon there. So I like Toney this week at 3,100. Keep an eye on him.
Joe, save the best for last, man. Let these guys eat their words, man. Tell us why the Giants are going to win. Sell it down their throats one last time. We're going to clip up whoever is right at the end. I'll make sure Tony makes a nice little clip, whether it's the Giants or the Eagles. Whoever nails this right, we'll have to get a nice clip going for next week.
Listen, for this Giants team to win, it's going to be a big play. It's going to be a big pick six. It's going to be a strip sack, touchdown, something like that. And that's going to kind of get the momentum and propel them to victory. I agree it's going to be a close game. I'm not going to guarantee victory, but I do think the Giants are going to give you guys a real fight on Saturday. I think it's going to be a heck of a game to watch. And my hope is the Giants come out with the victory and leaving you guys. The only thing to remember is to sing Hotel California at halftime at the Super Bowl, because no one's going to remember the Eagles football team this year. Not after right.
Yeah, man. Damn, Joe. I think you win for that that farewell to the Eagles, but it's gonna be a good game, man. I'll be watching the games. We're gonna be on series, I think 11-1, so we'll be wrapping it up. And then again Sunday, I think we're 9-12. We'll post it on Twitter. Give us a follow at Win Daily Sports. If you've got questions, we'll be building lineups for golf. Joe, you guys killed it on the golf show last night. So if you haven't built your lineups for golf, hop in our expert chat. Check out the DraftCast. It was a fun show yesterday. Sia, you, Spencer, and Dave crushed it. We'll have some more stuff counting down to Saturday and Sunday. So hop in the expert chat. Check out the articles. Lineup Optimizer. You see it on the screen right now. You can sort by projection. You can sort by value. You can see the DVP. It's a lot of good defenses, but there's going to be points put up anyways. So hit us up at windailysports.com. Use promo code WINBIG. We are out of here. Tone, thanks for staying up late with us, man. It was a fun show, and we are out of here.